Hello and welcome to Sunflower Philosophy Tarot. My name is Juliana, and today's Timeless Pick a Card reading is going to be about a particular emotion that is coming up for you right now, whether it's something that you're experiencing currently in your life, or it's something that's been popping up a lot for you, or it's maybe something that you're being asked to develop a deeper relationship with in some way. Whatever it is, we're looking at an emotion and we're just going to see what it's coming up, why it's coming up, and get more information on what it might be trying to tell you, or or why it might be useful for you to cultivate a relationship with this emotion right now. So we're gonna keep it open as always, and I'm very curious to see what will come through for each group. I already did get a card for each group and some song cards for each group to represent the emotion in question, and then we'll go in and get some additional information. But that is what the reading will be about. So as always, I'm going to now do a brief centering exercise for those of you who would like to just center yourselves, get relaxed, get cozy, get into a meditative state. And if you would like to skip ahead and get to the group selection, you can do that. I'll do that right after the centering exercise. And I can't wait to see you in your reading. So now, for those of you who are joining me for the centering exercise, please get yourself comfortable. If you are in the middle of doing any kind of activity or driving or anything like that, please don't participate. Do this later when you have time to take your attention inward and focus on yourself for the moment. But everyone else, please settle in, get comfy, whatever you're doing, just sit down, sit back, lie down, whatever you want to do, and relax and start to settle into your body. And as you settle into the surface that you are resting upon at this moment, if you feel called to, please close your eyes and bring your attention to your breathing. As always, just notice your breathing at first, the flow of air in, the flow of air out. You don't need to shift or change anything, just allow it to be as it is. And if bringing your attention to your breathing does shift it in any way, just notice that, observe it, and allow it as well. And as you engage with this brief centering exercise, you may set an intention now. You may set an intention to engage with your intuition more deeply. You may set an intention to simply become more grounded and centered in this moment. You can set any intention that you would like that will benefit you as you listen to this reading and also throughout the rest of your day. Now you can enjoy the sense of presence and relaxation that we're inviting in right now. And if you feel called to, you can also begin to bring your attention to your heart space, to the center of your chest, to your heart itself, whatever feels most comfortable. And notice any sensation that you might experience there. And just as with your breathing, you can allow whatever comes up to be, and you can feel free to label any sensations, not label any sensations, whatever you wish, whatever feels right, just allow it. And you can begin to imagine that as you inhale and exhale, you are inhaling and exhaling through your heart space. This time we are simply connecting to ourselves, connecting to whatever is going on within our bodies at this time. and allowing whatever it is to be, as we release any judgments or stories that we may have once associated with certain sensations, feelings, emotions. We let that go and we focus on the sensation itself. Even if you are tempted to say that there's no sensation happening, we're simply noticing whatever it is that you feel or don't feel. And recognizing that it is all in this moment okay. You are safe to experience whatever it is that you are currently experiencing. And to let that energy, which is what it is, flow through you, whatever energy is flowing through you currently. Every sensation, thought, feeling is an energy, and it is temporary. It's an experience that you have, and it passes through. And from time to time you may experience similar sensations, but nothing is ever exactly the same. And so you can greet each moment, each sensation, each feeling as if it is something entirely new that you have never experienced before, and enjoy the experience with curiosity and with an open-heartedness and open-mindedness that allows it to flow freely through your body, through your life, through your mind. And now you can intend to tap deeply into your intuition so that you can go forth into this reading and select the group that is most applicable to you right now and receive the messages that are truly meant for you in this moment, confidently knowing that you will easily discern what is truly yours. And now you may remain in this relaxed state for a little while longer, but if you're ready, you can feel free to join me in the group selection and in the rest of your reading. All right, so whether you join me for the centering exercise or not, welcome to your group selection. So excited for this reading. I explained it a bit in the intro, so I won't get into it now, but I'll touch on it again in each group. I do have 3 groups today, and as I said, we'll be looking at an emotion that's coming up for you. Whatever it is, we're going to see why it's coming up, and we're just going to have some fun with it. So I've got 3 crystals that can help you choose your group. I went with all the sort of rougher cut ones today because, I don't know, I was just feeling really drawn to that, and also drawn to the way that emotions themselves can feel sometimes a little bit rough, or our relationship with our emotions can feel a little bit unfinished, quote unquote, maybe even uncomfortable, but at the same time can be very beautiful. And I actually really enjoy the look of these crystals here that are not so smooth and not so evenly shaped. So let's start with group 1. So for group 1, we have this lovely amethyst. For group 2, we have, I'm actually not sure exactly what this stone is. I'm tempted to say labradorite, but it's possible that's way off, so don't take my word for it. If someone seems to recognize it, then please feel free to put it in the comments, but it's beautiful nonetheless. And then for group 3, we have this rose quartz. So feel free to pause the video if you need more time, go down to the pinned comment or the description, select your group, and as always, use your intuition. And you can always pick more than one group or pick a different group if the first one you picked doesn't really resonate with you. Whatever you want, I will see you over in your reading. Hi group 1, if you selected the amethyst, then you're in the right place, and this is your reading, which will be all about an emotion that's coming up for you, that's important for you, no matter if it's one that you have been experiencing a lot lately or one that's just being highlighted for you because you're being encouraged to develop some kind of deeper relationship with it. We will dive into first the emotion itself, what is coming up for you with this card and the song cards that I picked ahead of time. And then we'll get a few more cards to get more information on why this is coming up for you right now and what, if anything, that Spirit recommends that you do about that or with it. Whatever is going to come through is going to come through. So let's see. Let's get into it. So for your tarot card to represent this emotion, we have the Wheel of Fortune. And we have two songs. We have The Weight of Living, Part 1 by Bastille. Your albatross, let it go, let it go. Your albatross, shoot it down, when you just can't shake the heavy weight of living. As always, feel free to listen to these songs because I'm not that I'm like a terrible singer if I try, but but I don't sing them, and there might be something in the music itself that sparks an emotion in you, or the message of the lyrics themselves that you can only really get by listening to it yourself. So, as always, I recommend that you do that if you feel called to. We also have Roll with the Changes, and I love how it has the wheel on it, just like the Wheel of Fortune here, by REO Speedwagon. And this is just, the second I saw this come out, I was like, yeah, this is such a Wheel of Fortune card. For some reason, it just really speaks to that for me. And also the Ace of Cups as well. So we have, as soon as you are able, woman, I am willing to make the break that we are on the brink of. My cup is on the table, my love is spilling, waiting here for you to take a drink of. So if you're tired of the same old story, oh, turn some pages. I will be here when you are ready to roll with the changes. So, okay. So when I first got this card and these songs, I was a little surprised because I wasn't sure initially what emotion was actually being elicited here, because I felt like almost, I feel like the Wheel of Fortune isn't a card that for me screams emotion. However, the element of surprise in my reaction to the card in and of itself can indicate perhaps the emotion of surprise. And furthermore, in that, I feel like it's actually the feeling of feeling lucky, feeling fortunate. Because when I thought about it, I thought, well, a lot of times the Wheel of Fortune for me does symbolize luck, does symbolize like a turn of luck in someone's life. Or the Wheel of Fortune, it's not only luck, it's like how the wheel turns up and then it turns down, and you could see it almost in a dualistic way of symbolizing bad luck and good luck. But I also don't necessarily feel like both of those things need to exist. Like, you don't have to turn it into a dichotomy, right? But I feel like the feeling in and of itself of feeling lucky, feeling blessed is really what is coming through here. Like, almost like allowing yourself to feel lucky. That's the emotion that is highlighted. And so for you, we'll dive more into the cards, but it could be that that's an emotion you've been experiencing more lately, or it could be an emotion that Spirit or your guides or this reading is encouraging you to open up to in your life, to allow, to develop a relationship with, to expect, or to even cultivate within yourself. Like this feeling like, yeah, things are turning in my favor. I am blessed. I feel lucky. Connecting to what that even feels like for you. With the songs that we have here, there's definitely something that speaks to the element of the Wheel of Fortune card that is related to change. So perhaps this emotion is brought on by changes that are happening in your life. Whether you view these changes as being for the better or for the worse, there is an element of change that you are going through, maybe even surprising change. Maybe you've even had some surprises come up, or maybe you even have been developing in a relationship with the idea of allowing yourself to be surprised by things, right? Because we can become very fixed in our reactions to things, and how we relate to our emotions can become maybe even narrowed down to what we have come to expect in the past, because that's the experience that we are willing to let ourselves have. If we're not willing to let ourselves be surprised, we might not experience surprise, right? Because sometimes surprise can feel scary, even when it is quote unquote positive, right? But yeah, your relationship with change, with surprise, with good luck is being highlighted here. And definitely there's like a roll with the changes, like an easygoingness, even like an ease. It's almost like leaning into the feeling of luck and surprise here brings some kind of ease with it, where it's opening to the idea that change can feel easy, can feel lighthearted, can even feel really good, where in the past it might have felt scary or difficult, no matter the nature of it. With The Weight of Living, Part 1, and with Roll with the Changes, I feel like the feeling that both of those songs elicit in me is this feeling of like moving on, moving forward progress. Triumph, even. I feel like there's an element of triumph here, of overcoming something from the past that might have been a barrier or a blockage. And so it's interesting because I don't know, there's like a lot here. It's not just like, oh, this one clear emotion came forward. It's like almost like all these emotions that can surround the element of change when we experience it in our lives, right? That's all coming through as like a holistic experience. But yeah, with Weight of Living, also I want to point out in the lyrics here, the albatross, a bird, is mentioned. And now I haven't like delved deeply into the symbolism of the albatross myself. I'm aware of some of it though, and what's coming to mind is, well, one thing that the albatross can symbolize is good luck. So coming up with the Wheel of Fortune, yeah, luck, again, that feeling of feeling lucky, feeling blessed. But also this can symbolize a burden that you have, especially like something that weighs on your psyche, something that might even hold you back, right? That idea of like overcoming a blockage and allowing change, that's something that seems important with the emotion that we're talking about here. And it's almost like, I don't know if for you this is something that you have recently gone through where you've overcome some kind of like blockage and you are actually moving forward into a new era or into a cycle that is more positive for you. Like you've let some kind of burden go, or you're in the process of doing that. And regardless, or maybe even like you still feel stuck in something in the past, like some kind of burden, you still feel stuck in that, and that's holding you back maybe from making a change. But regardless, you are being encouraged to open up and to embrace the idea of a pleasant surprise, the feeling of like, yeah, lean into it. When you feel lucky, when you feel incredibly fortunate, there might be a temptation to shut that down immediately, to say, no, I can't accept that, because then that means that I could be disappointed, right, in the future, or it can't be that good, too good to be true, right, that whole kind of thing. It's like, no, let yourself get used to that feel. Yes, let yourself get used to the feeling that you are worthy of the things that you want in your life, the things that bring you joy, the things that make you feel lucky, right? You're worthy of feeling fortunate. You're worthy of fortune, of good fortune. Because The Weight of Living is all about, like, quote unquote, shooting down your albatross, in that you just finally, well, how I interpret it anyway, I'm sure there's many different ways you can, but how I interpret it is, I believe there's something about a story where you're not supposed to shoot down your albatross or something like that. But it's like the idea that you shoot it down, because like I feel like it's like if you shoot down the albatross, it brings bad luck. But it's almost like, to me, the song is saying, or I think there's, you know what, there might have been a YouTube comment somewhere on like the song itself on YouTube, like I guess maybe like the video, you know, from Best You, where someone commented about their interpretation of the meaning, and they said something about like how like, yeah, if your albatross, it's like a bird that flies forever or something like that. It like doesn't have to land. But as a symbol of like a burden, or even as a symbol of luck, you're not supposed to shoot it down. If you shoot down the albatross, it brings on bad luck. But it's almost like the idea of the albatross being symbolic of like a burden of yours, where it's like you're trying to avoid it so much because you're afraid that if you acknowledge it, it will bring bad luck. But in the act of actually surrendering and shooting it down, bringing that bad luck into your life and embracing it, you set yourself free of it, because it's no longer something that you are avoiding or something that you're not looking at. It's something that you took aim at, you shot it down yourself, you addressed it, you looked it in the eye, and because you were able to do that, you're no longer you're no longer chained by the idea that that's like the thing that your luck is tied to, right? And so let me put this into plainer words. It's like if you have some kind of thing that's weighed on you for a long time. It might be something that in the present is easy to brush under the rug and not look at because it's not being brought up to you constantly. But at the same time, it's always there in the back of your mind. It's always there stopping you from believing that you're worthy of good things. It's always there stopping you from maybe taking certain kinds of chances. It could be like some kind of secret where you're afraid if someone finds something out about you that will end your career, end your life, whatever it is. It might be something that you're just so ashamed of or afraid of looking at that you're afraid that if you do, you won't be able to come out on the other side of the emotional turmoil that it will take to, or that you believe it will take to address it, look it in the eye, and move on from it, right? But in being so afraid to look at this thing, you're also ensuring that it remains present in your life. You know, you're ensuring that it will always be there flying over your head. And so when you, and in avoiding it, you think that you're avoiding bad luck. You think that you're avoiding bad emotion. You think that you're avoiding like the worst that could happen, right? But what you're actually doing is ensuring that it will always keep you trapped there. It will always keep you stuck in that one place. It will always be something that's hanging over your head. When you actually look up and you shoot it down and you accept, you say, I'm accepting any bad luck, quote unquote. I'm accepting the consequences of this action. I'm accepting and surrendering to the experience of what it will be to actually address this thing head on. That's when you set yourself free from it because you're no longer afraid of what it means for you. And then it can no longer haunt you or hurt you, I almost said. So for some of you, that is what you have. That's why if you've been feeling lucky or blessed lately, or that's something that has been coming up in your life, it's because you've shot your albatross down, so to speak. It's because you've addressed something that was hanging over your head for a long time, and you've been able to move on from it. And that is why you're suddenly feeling lighter. You're feeling like a weight has lifted. You no longer are feeling the weight of living as a heavy burden, but you're actually bearing it in a new way, and you actually have a weight lifted off your shoulders. For those of you for whom you are not really, maybe you don't even feel acquainted with the concept of feeling lucky or feeling blessed. Maybe you struggle to feel blessed. Maybe you never have in your life, or maybe it's been a long time since you felt that way. It's because there is some kind of emotional burden, albatross of yours that you are not looking at and not addressing. And if that's the case, you'll likely know what it is, or at least that there is something that you haven't addressed that is weighing on you that can 100,000%. And if this is coming up for you and if this is resonating, that the reason is because you're ready to move on. You're ready to progress with it. It can 100,000% be resolved. You just have to look at it and do something about it. Set that intention that this thing is no longer stopping me from moving forward. And it might be a bit of a process, but part of that process will be embracing and allowing a feeling of feeling lucky, feeling good, just feeling like things are looking up for you, that you can move forward. Maybe for some of you, there is something specific that you've been wanting to move forward on, and cultivating this feeling of good luck will bring about that good luck in the situation. But first, you don't have to control outside of you. You don't have to like manipulate things or people. And when I say that, manipulate is a loaded word, but it is something that we do out of a need for control, sometimes without even realizing that that's what we're doing. We're trying to manipulate and mold things so hard to work around our albatross, to get over or under or like anything but going through it, basically. Actually, what just came to mind was like that meme, which a friend had reminded me of recently. Hi, if you're here, is the meme where it's like men will do anything but go to therapy, right? Or like women will do anything but go to therapy, where it like shows someone like, I don't know, like a villain in a TV show who's wreaking havoc on the world. And it's like, yeah, men will do anything. Men will commit heinous crimes to avoid going to therapy, something like that, right? So maybe for a lot of you, that was the energy that you were in for a long time, or that's where you are right now, where you're kind of realizing, oh wait, there is some kind of action. Maybe it's not therapy, maybe it's something else. But there is some kind of action that you can take to help you lift this burden, to take a step forward towards releasing yourself from your albatross, so to speak. And you've been avoiding it for a long time. And this is bringing up what honestly will be the fruits of that endeavor, should you choose to take it on. The ability to, and also part of your process as well, to set the intention that you are a lucky, fortunate person, maybe even to engage with the concept at all. Sit in meditation and imagine a time when you did feel really lucky. Or if that's difficult or it brings up difficult emotions, well, first of all, if you're able to and you feel comfortable, you can set the intention to allow that, right? So like maybe you felt really lucky one time, but then you were immediately disappointed after that feeling occurred. Maybe you even forgot that you felt good about a situation at one time before you started to feel bad about it, right? Well, are you able to remember that, to sit with that emotion and let it be, like we did in our centering exercise at the beginning, if you were a part of that? If not, maybe you want to go back and do that. But like, and can you do that without ruminating on the situation, but rather focusing on the sensation that it brings up? Because so often we're avoiding the sensation because it feels like it will overpower us if we allow it to be. But if we actually do sit and allow it to be, we realize that the sensation never had the ability to overtake us. And if that's something, especially if you're dealing with something that feels like trauma or feels like way too intense to handle on your own, that's something that working with someone like a therapist, an energy healer, or whatever feels most comfortable for you, that's something that you can do. That's something that can help you learn to do that and feel confident in that process. You don't have to do it on your own. So it's up to you how you handle that. For those of you who have been doing that, working through that, have worked through something already, this feeling of feeling lucky and blessed, if it's been coming into your life more and more, yes, you are allowed to cultivate that. You are allowed to lean into that. You are allowed to experiment with that, be curious about it, be like, ooh, like, can I just feel lucky for no reason? Like, can I just get into that feeling, like, of like, ooh, I feel so good and so fortunate and so lucky, without even needing something to happen in a certain way just to feel that, just feeling lucky to feel alive, right? And maybe for a lot of you, you are starting to feel lucky to just be alive, and you're like, whoa, I didn't even know that was possible. That's so cool. I didn't know that I could just feel lucky without, winning the lottery or like having something happen that you've been wanting to happen for a long time. Like maybe you can just feel lucky because like you're breathing, because it's sunny out, or just because you're here and nothing else. You know what I mean? Like just for the experience of feeling. So that emotion is inviting you to experiment with it, to see where you can take it and how you can grow it within your experience, regardless of what is even happening in your life. So, I feel like we already got a lot of information there. Oh, I just cut the deck. I'm about to shuffle up a deck and get more information. And the Wheel of Fortune, literally again, in the middle of the deck, with the Ace of Swords too. So, there might be some new ideas or new ideas that might be coming to you as a result of feeling just like blessed in life and able, I guess the Ace of Cups now just is showing up. Lots of blessings coming. That's the thing. It's like you're opening up to the feeling of feeling blessed. Lots of blessings are going to come to you because you're going to start seeing everything. I mean, it's everything, maybe not everything, but you're willing to start seeing much of life as a blessing, and that opens you up to experiencing a whole new level of everything. That's the word that came up, everything. So yeah, and this is something I feel like for most of you, this is a change that is happening for you, even if you are one of the people who's like, I don't feel like I'm at that point yet where I feel that way. And yeah, I do have things that I'm avoiding, and I don't know if I'm ready to shoot my albatross down, as it were. Like, I'm still grappling with that. Even if you are in that group, I do feel like, as is the nature of things are changing and shifting anyway in that direction. This is an encouragement, if anything. Oh, the Wheel of Fortune was on the bottom again. This is an encouragement, if anything, to roll with those changes, to assist those changes, because they're happening anyway. The reason that you're thinking about, for example, the reason that you're thinking about getting help, maybe for some of you, is because you're ready to. There's a part of you that is ready to. The reason that you're seriously considering making some kind of decision or choice is because there's a part of you that's ready to. Can you begin to accept that maybe you just are ready, and maybe you don't have to feel all the way baked, and that's just what came to me, like all the way cooked, all the way healed, all the way done, to just be ready for a change, right? To be ready for a new adventure, to be ready to look at life from a new, more optimistic perspective. So, yeah, we already got a lot of information, but let's see if there's anything else. What else do we want to know? Ooh, okay, yeah. Wow, all right. All right, and let's see. 3 more cards on the other side. Chariot. Star. Ooh. She's got to have some clothes on. Gotta have some clothes on. There we go. Star. Please, YouTube algorithm, don't hurt me. And one more card. Is there one more card that we want to... Oh, that's a lot. That's too many. We're not going to take that many. Let's just get one more card, all right? Okay. 7 of Pentacles. All right. Okay. Can you see them? Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of room. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, first 3 cards that popped out all together: Ace of Wands, the Fool, Ace of Cups. The aces, like, to me right now, I'm like, everything's coming up like aces, that kind of thing. Like, very much, I mean, the Ace of Wands has like a clover on it. I know it's not a 4-leaf clover. I know it's kind of more like a club, like, you'd see it on a card deck. But to me, that also speaks of like a clover, like a 4-leaf clover, like good luck. Like, I still get that association with it. So like luck is all over this group right now. Your relationship with luck is changing. Whether you feel like you've already shifted in this way and you've shifted your relationship with the feeling of like feeling lucky, or if you are still in that process or just beginning that process, whatever you feel like Ace of Wands, luck. The Fool, I mean, that's just playful, light-hearted, like, energy. And I feel like that's where you're moving, like, right? Like, letting go of that heavy weight, whatever it has been that has been weighing on you, whether it's a specific thing that happened in your past or just a habitual momentum of feeling down, feeling unlucky, feeling unloved for some of you, because that just came to mind. Ace of Cups here, that's like a little dove with like a love note on it. Like, maybe for some of you, and with the Roll with the Changes song as well, maybe for some of you, this new luck involves a shift in how you view relationships, maybe even romantic relationships, romantic offers, moving into a more optimistic space on that front, inviting in and allowing change to take place in your relationships. And also just like emotional joy, fulfillment, opportunities for emotional fulfillment, gifts from the universe, the opportunity to see life as a gift, to see things as a gift, right? That's what you're being offered here. That's what's coming in for you. That's what's shifting for you as you develop your relationship with this emotion, with this feeling. And I keep saying feeling, emotion, whatever. It's like a collection of feelings. It's almost also like tied to an experience, I feel like, for you. Because if you look at life as a whole process that is happening between your heart, mind, spirit, body, whatever, like all of those things, those elements come together to create your experience and your experience of life, your circumstances in life, the things that happen, the changes that you go through are all taking place within you as much as they're happening outside of you, right? And so really getting in touch with that connection, the realizing that your emotional experiences aren't detached from your external experience, but are part of that and can be harnessed and used to shift that if you develop a relationship itself with your emotional body, right? For some of you, this even could be like I said, if you are considering some kind of, seeking some kind of assistance with your situation, whatever it is, or with your emotions in general, this could be about your holistic relationship with your emotions shifting in a way that brings this change on. So it's not just the one emotion of luck or whatever. It's actually this is maybe even more broadly indicating a change and shift in your relationship with emotion altogether. That is, again, bringing you into this space of optimism, lightness, good luck, good fortune. The charioteer is, that to me, okay, it's Cancer energy. First of all, that's my rising sign, so I know a little bit about Cancer energy. But I feel like right now it's really talking about you being in control, feeling in control of your own journey. And part of that is feeling in control of your own emotions. Not in the way that you're wrestling them to the ground, repressing them and shoving them away, tackling them down and subduing them, but in the way where you're taking control through developing that relationship, listening to them as a communication from your... This is something also that came up in a recent meeting I had with hypnotists from my area. We have meetings every week and people present, and one presenter was talking about the emotions that people experience being communications, receiving them as communications from the unconscious. And so being able to sit with and listen to and receive these emotions that are coming from your unconscious, the more that you're willing to do that, the less that they will scream at you, right? So that's why things that we repress build and build and build and build, because if you think of it, it's like a child crying for your attention, right? The more that you ignore that child, the louder their screams are going to get until it's impossible to ignore. Or even more darkly, they might just give up eventually, but that doesn't mean that they're not still suffering, That doesn't mean that their needs went away. The needs are still there, and because they're not being fulfilled, that child is not going to be able to survive in the way that it is, right? I know that's kind of a dark metaphor, I'm sorry. But that's kind of, I feel like, what some of you have experienced doing to yourself. That's why the more we ignore our emotions, eventually we just go numb, right? Because some of us, sometimes, our unconscious just learns, okay, you're not going to listen to me, well, I'm not going to communicate with you anymore, and you're not going to feel anything. And you're going to feel dead inside, right? And maybe some of you, and there might be a point at which, that becomes impossible and it all comes out, right? And that feels intense. But it's just, that communication needs to be heard in one way or another. And in order for you to again, let it go, to move past that resistance to whatever experience or emotions you've been avoiding, you simply have to pick up the phone. You simply have to receive the message. You simply have to say, I'm here, I'm listening, what's going on, And you don't necessarily do that with your mind, with your mental body. You do that more with your body, with your presence. If there is something that you don't need to figure out the emotion, if there's something that it needs you to know, you will know just by simply sitting with it and being with it in a genuine way. You don't have to talk over it with your mind. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to unravel it like it's a knot. You can just let it be on faith. Trust that just intending to listen, intending to be there with it, will eventually allow it to subside. And that, in and of itself, is a process of moving energy, which, again, is why, for those of you who are not sure so much about, therapy itself, might be, energy healers or therapists who even work with energy healing, that might appeal to you in some way. Hypnosis, what I do, in its own way, it moves your mental energy. It works with your unconscious, and it can be used to tap into your emotions and your emotional body as well. There's all different kinds of tools. There's all different kinds of things. I feel like for some of you, going to someone, talking to someone, seeking that assistance might be something that you've been considering and will help you on this journey. Regardless, with the star card here, Aquarius energy, which I feel like is in the Fool and the Star for me. So we have Cancer, Aquarius, we've got water signs, we've got fire signs, we got them all here. We got the earth signs, but those are the big ones. And when Wheel of Fortune, I think, is all fixed signs, which includes Aquarius and Scorpio, Leo, and I forget. Maybe Capricorn? Don't quote me on that. Regardless, with the star card here, that's optimism, that's faith, that's big picture thinking. That's like, okay, I have like a big picture perspective on like, I want my life to feel this way. I want to feel this way in my life. Now, I can work on bringing that feeling into my current life while simultaneously working on things that I know in my present physical reality will help me get to that goal without relying on like some future goal to not living in the future, not putting your happiness into the future, but rather using that big picture, like that North Star, that big picture. I want my life to feel this way. How can I bring that into my life now so that I can build the blocks that it will take to get that future, but also enjoy the process, be here now, live in that right now. That's how you do it, by releasing the blockages, releasing the things that you haven't been willing to look at, just giving in and just being like, yeah, you know what? I'm ready to let this go. Change is happening. I'm going to flow along with it. And I'm going to do whatever feels right to me to help that process along, right? Like I said, for some of you, it could be going to someone for assistance. And for some of you, there's different steps that you're going to take or different things that you want to do. It doesn't really matter for you. You will know. Like, I'm not here to tell you what you're going to do. You'll know what's for you. 7 of Pentacles as well. Patience. And I feel like that's something else that's coming from this is like impatience can be, impatience feels like I need a certain result now. I won't be okay until I get that result, so I need to make it happen right now, right? Whereas when you're cultivating patience, I see this card as patience and cultivation, right? Sowing seeds, being present, and also admiring your creations as they're growing, right? Admiring the whole process, right? And for you, that might even just be you admiring your own process, your own progress that you've already been making, that you've already made, or that you are continuing to experiment with. But it's like the process of growth. And I feel like that is what's happening for you. It's like, even if you're at this point and you're still maybe struggling with something, you're struggling with letting go of something for some of you, the fact that you're here listening to this, if this is resonating, there's a part of you that's really grown to the point where you're ready to hear this and you're willing to take the steps necessary to keep moving forward, to move through this change, to allow change to take place. And that in and of itself is beautiful, right? That in and of itself is growth. You've already grown, right? You might be impatient to get where you think that you're going, but you're missing where you are right now, which is exactly where you need to be, and really quite a wonderful place, if that resonates for some of you, right? So this has already been long enough. Oop, I just knocked a candle off the table. But you know what? I'm only doing 3 groups today anyway. Lastly, we are going to get a Hafiz card for remaining advice in terms of, I guess in your case, we'll see if it's advice that's more about processing the old or letting in the new, or cultivating that feeling of luck itself. Maybe all 3 at once. But let's see. What advice does Hafiz have for you? Okay. We have number 37, unleash your passion. And number 14, take action. Yeah. So, and number 9, use your power. Yeah. So action-oriented. It's like roll with the changes. Be willing to make that break that you are on the brink of, right? So take that action in that direction. Let's read in the booklet. Number 37, unleash your passions. The wolf's beautiful howl so unleashed my passions, my lover smiled for days. TMI, Hafiz. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. Seek your muse, court her. When she visits, create with wild abandon. Let nothing hold back your whimsy. Yeah, for those of you who've let go of or are letting go of something that's held back your whimsy, it's time to let that go. Yeah, let nothing hold back your whimsy, your folly, your bliss. Yeah, your whimsy. I feel like your whimsy, folly, and bliss are represented over here with the Ace of Wands, the Fool, and the Cups. The Fool, obviously, folly, foolishness, and whatnot. But, like, it takes sometimes bravery and courage and wisdom to know when to just be that fool and just to have fun and love passionately and dive into life, right? The Ace of Wands being, like, inspiration, passion itself. And the Ace of Cups being whimsy, to me, like, emotional fulfillment as well, just everything overflowing, your cup overflowing. Also, with the Ace of Cups, a release. So an energetic release. Again, some of you, energy healing might be important here because it will unlock that energy, that stored emotion, and allow you to let it go. Allowing your passion to grow, be nurtured, and expressed is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself and the world. Don't let modesty or fear repress your inspiration. You have galaxies inside of you. Express them. Yeah. So I feel like this is not only advice in terms of, like, what you can do. For some of you, like, unleash your passion might be like working on a passion project, noticing what brings you passion, what brings that feeling of passion to you, and indulging in it. For some of you, like, it could be, like, this is a little bit like it could be a little sexual message, you know? I don't want to, like, say it because, like, YouTube is, you know, sometimes doesn't like that. But, like, a little bit of, like, you know, like for those for whom that applies, like, it might also just be getting more in touch with your, like, you know, sexual energy, your creative energy that if you have suppressed that for a while might need, you know, you can explore that. And that's just what came through, so I'm going to say it. And no shame in that. And in fact, for some of you, maybe that's part of where, like, the repression is. You know, maybe there's been some shame in that area. It's allowing yourself to explore things like that, things that you've maybe, no matter what they are, repressed or not explored, that do elicit feelings of passion in some way or another in you, letting that out, you know? Like, uncorking your, like, more driven, wild emotions, right? But also taking action, that is something that, like, I feel like you are being moved to do almost in the process of this change. And we'll read that as well. It says, take action. The mind is like a bow, and our thoughts can be golden arrows. Who is not always hunting satisfaction? Who is not beseeching a kiss from the mouth of heaven? Knowing her lips and having a key to her house, let me be your guide. The time for reflection has passed. Show up, stand up, step up. Make the next move. Action has genius fire in it, and it can revitalize and kindle your life, relationships, and projects. Don't hold back. Instead, hold yourself in the alignment of what you know is your highest truth and take action towards embodying that truth through your deeds. Yeah, that makes total sense. And, like, that action for you could be taking the action of, like, getting the help that you need to address this thing finally, or, like, shooting your albatross down in whatever way makes sense to you, right? That could be the action here. It could also be that as you've processed some of these old things and let them go, and things are changing for you, and you are shifting into this emotional state that's lighter and feels more blessed, that you are being moved to take more action, to take some kind of action in your life. And this is encouraging you to do that, to continue on that path, to that now that you've stopped giving your energy to whatever that thing was, or just in general, like, your energy is no longer trapped inside of you or trapped by something anymore. You have more energy to give and to expend and to put towards actions and things that bring you passion, that bring you excitement, that make you hopeful and joyous, right? And so that is something that you are ready to indulge. You're ready to take the next step on. Amazing. Wonderful. So this was really a lovely reading. I I think that's all we've got. So I hope that resonated. And so please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear how this resonated if you would like to. And also check out our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com. We offer hypnosis and human design along with personalized tarot readings. So you can check out our offerings there. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or life in general. And I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye. Hi, Group 3. If you selected this stone, which I'm not 100% sure what it is, then you're in the right place. And this is your reading, which will be, as I mentioned, about an emotion that is being highlighted for you right now. Why it's being highlighted for you. Is it something that you're experiencing, or is it something that you're being called to experience or have a relationship with? We're just going to see what that's about and go from there. So let's get right into it. Let's get into, first of all, your cards that will tell us what the emotion is. So we have the Eight of Pentacles for your tarot card. And we have two song cards. We have I Know It Hurts by Alter Bridge and Isolation by Alter Bridge, which I couldn't ignore the fact that both of these songs that came out are by Alter Bridge. So that could be an artist that's important to you or that you might be interested in. But regardless, there's definitely a theme here. So we'll read the lyrics. First of all, for I Know It Hurts, we have, hold on. For I Know It Hurts, we have, though you lost your way, now is not forever, but I know your pain. We all fall sometimes, you're not the first, but I know it hurts. See, I know it hurts. In the end, you'll find what you deserve. Still, I know it hurts, I know it hurts. And Isolation, we have, isolation brings you to the end until you love again. Isolation, if you can only see what will come to be, maybe you'll find a life you can live and learn to love along the way and make things better. So this one is interesting because they're in some ways similar to the first one. At first I wasn't like picking up on a really major emotional vibe from the Eight of Pentacles. But as I look at the songs, obviously there's a bit more emotion there. And I definitely get the sense that, although I don't know that this Eight of Pentacles is entirely negative, not that I really want to classify emotions as negative or positive. I feel like all of them can be valuable and we can learn from all of them. I do feel like when I was looking at the card when I first got it, before I got the songs even, there was something almost lonely about the figure in this card, and I don't always get that from the Eight of Pentacles. You know, I feel like the Eight of Pentacles, to me, can be about work and craftsmanship and being focused and really engaged with what you're doing. But in this case, I do feel like this person is almost like they're working alone. And when I got the card with isolation on it, I was like, okay, so there's definitely some kind of loneliness here. And isolation itself doesn't have to be lonely, right? Sometimes we isolate ourselves for the purpose of growing through something that we can only do on our own, or that's just where we need to be. You can be alone and not be lonely. You could be living out in the woods somewhere and not feel lonely, right? Loneliness is a state of feeling or being, or even a mental state that we might embody at times, even if we're surrounded by people, right? But there's something here that while you could even be isolated, and there might be a part of you that's lonely, but it might actually not be obvious to you. It feels like there's almost like a call for you to engage with the feeling of loneliness, because it might be something that's like underlying some of your actions or some of the way that you live your life that you're not even aware of. And now only take this if this sparks your intuition, if it does feel right, you know, that don't take on any emotion that you're not genuinely feeling or that you don't feel like is genuinely a part of your experience. Obviously, trust yourself. I trust you also to know if this isn't the case for you. But for some of you, it might be like you've almost been avoiding looking at loneliness or avoiding admitting that you feel lonely. And you're being encouraged to do that, to actually engage with the feeling of loneliness, to explore that within yourself. Because you might have a tendency to distract yourself from it, to maybe hyperfocus or hyperfixate on things to distract yourself from the loneliness, from that feeling. You might not even know that what you're feeling is loneliness. If you are someone who does hyper-focus or fixate on things and you're not sure why, like, and when I say that, I mean like where you feel like you know you're avoiding something and maybe you don't even know what it is, what you're avoiding might actually be a form of loneliness, a feeling of loneliness that you're afraid to look at, you're afraid to admit to. For some of you, you're afraid to acknowledge that that's possibly something that you're feeling. And so if you've been feeling like almost like addicted to like work or addicted to, I don't know, anything that distracts you from your emotions, that might be one of the things that you are avoiding. And in coming here to this reading and engaging with this and engaging with the possibility of saying, okay, well, actually, is what I'm feeling loneliness? Could that be it? You are beginning the process of working through it, moving through it rather than avoiding it, right? Because the first step is to always admit the thing. Because loneliness isn't shameful. It's not something that we can't escape from. I think sometimes when we're avoiding something and avoiding admitting to an experience or avoiding looking at an emotion, feeling an emotion, it can be from a place of fearing that if we look at it, we'll never get out of it, right? Or fearing that if we look at it or admit to it, we'll make it more real than it already is. But actually, that's the first step to making it less real for us, less part of our reality, by no longer fearing it, no longer feeling the need to avoid it, by saying, yeah, that's how I feel right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like there have been a lot of messages in our society, around certain feelings and experiences where we feel bad about it ourselves if we experience times of loneliness, right? Like for some of you, there might be some kind of like stigma. Like there can be a stigma around loneliness, around feeling alone. Particularly like an easy example is in the case of like if you are single, a lot of people, another way, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but another way that people refer to like being single is being alone. Like people will say, oh yeah, like, I have to be in relationships because I'm too afraid to be alone, right? And something about alone in those statements is stigmatized, that feeling of like aloneness, right? The idea of just being with yourself. And so even if we might be comfortable with that on some level, just being with ourselves, if we are sort of constantly engaging with the stigma of like, okay, well, like people think that makes me lonely or sad or a loser, we can sometimes take that on without really realizing that that's not our stuff, right? That's someone else's projection. So we can still feel that way, even if there's a part of us that knows that there's nothing wrong with it, right? That there's nothing wrong with being single, for example. But even in the case of just feeling like you don't have a lot of friends in general, or even being surrounded by people but not feeling like you have a deep connection with anyone, maybe feeling disconnected from yourself even, because often when we feel disconnected from the world around us, it's because we feel disconnected with ourselves. So when we want to foster a relationship with people on a deeper level, we start with fostering our relationship to ourselves. That's the first step. Whether we consciously think of it that way or not, that's what does bring more closeness. So I feel like you are being asked to engage with even the concept of like, do I feel lonely? And could that be what I am avoiding? Now, I've been speaking a lot about loneliness, especially because of the, card isolation and just the vibe that I got from this card. But it doesn't have to be specifically loneliness. For some of you, it might just be a general sense of pain. I do feel like loneliness can be a byproduct of feeling in pain or feeling alone in your pain, like you've got some kind of trauma or difficulty that that makes you feel isolated. And it could be a whole tangled web of like feeling lonely because you're in pain, but then that also feeds back and gives you more pain. And so again, there's that aspect of distracting yourself from that cycle so that you don't have to engage with it or be a part of it. And now, I want to say here that if you find yourself resonating with all of that, and you do feel like there's been a part of you that's been distracting yourself and numbing that out, I want you to know that that is not something to feel ashamed of if you realize that maybe that's what you've been doing. Because sometimes we can also feel ashamed of like the idea that maybe we've had to do that we haven't been paying attention to something that maybe we need to pay attention to. The thing is, whatever you've been using to get away from yourself, or if you've even been doing that in the first place in some way, that's something that you needed at a certain point, right? Sometimes that's how we survive things, right? That feel difficult. And sometimes even things that, I say survive things, I mean, sometimes it's things, yes, that put our lives in danger or are really, quote unquote, serious. I don't want to like label things and like, you know, divide all of us off from each other by like classifying certain things as like bad or good. But, you know, things that are really difficult, but yes, sometimes that's the cause of a feeling of isolation. But it could also be like a bunch of little things. It could also be things you don't even know why you feel this way, right? But there's some kind of pain that you've been experiencing. It could even be like taking on the pain of like the world or things that are happening to people around you and not really realizing that that's what you're feeling and not knowing how to process it because it's not really yours. So then it gets stuck as kind of like a depression, right? That can... And then you're like, well, I don't even know why I feel this way. And then you feel lonely in that experience because you don't know how to communicate it to anyone, right? And so the root of this loneliness feeling could be anything. But if this is resonating, it's just simply that you're ready to start looking at it and acknowledging it. If you weren't before, that's okay, right? That's where you needed to be. You needed that coping mechanism. You needed that avoidance in that moment to just get through it and be where you are now, in a place where you're more ready to start looking at it, acknowledging it, and processing whatever it is that has been causing this avoidance, this pain, this loneliness, right? And like, that's what I feel like these songs are reminding you of. These songs, to me, are acknowledging pain, right? They're about acknowledging someone's pain. And for me, I discovered these songs at a time when I was going through something similar to what it sounds like you are going through, what it feels like you are going through, where I needed to acknowledge that something wasn't right, something wasn't feeling right. And I gravitated towards music that highlighted this idea of like, other people know what this experience is like, right? Like, other people have felt this way. That's what this kind of music spoke to me. And I needed to know that so that I knew that there was something on the other side of that, right? There was a way that I could get through that I could move through that. And that was something that allowed me to stop avoiding myself altogether, to acknowledge that, yes, I feel this way. Other people have felt this way. They've also gotten through it. It's possible for me to do the same thing. So for you, a way to stop avoiding this thing that you're going through could be engaging with songs, media, stuff that speaks to the experience that you've gone through, or speaks to some of the feelings and emotions that you've been suppressing, so that you can process them as you listen, as you watch, have your emotional reactions, allow yourself to acknowledge, hey, I feel the same way as that character. I can relate to that feeling. I feel the same way as the singer. I feel the same way as the song is making me feel. I can relate to that, so that you can acknowledge it and let it move through you, right? That's why a lot of people really enjoy like when when something makes them cry. It's a catharsis. And so you might be ready to experience an emotional catharsis in that way. Now, of course, as it sometimes happens, we can also fall into rumination or listen to things that bring up repeatedly feelings and emotions that we've already processed and we don't need to rehash, or get stuck in our heads when we're like mindlessly like engaging with content that over and over again re-triggers us, right? But I think in your case, mindfully engaging with things that help you process these emotions, like someone going through a breakup and listening to sad songs that feel along with them, that help them feel their feelings, that's an example of what I'm talking about here. So for you, whatever the case may be, you might have to experiment with it if you don't know what you're feeling, right? You might even look at it as like a game of like, okay, if I'm listening to this song, like, does this speak to my experience? Does this speak to my emotional experience? No. Does this? like what kind, or just noticing like what kinds of emotions are elicited in you, what things trigger you even, right? If you've been avoiding emotional triggers, it might be time to not seek them out, but rather notice when something does inevitably trigger your emotion and sit with that and be able to say, okay, can I process this? What is, coming up here? And as I said to the previous group, if this is a process you need to go through with someone who can help you, like a therapist or some kind of energy healer, spiritual coach, whatever it is for you, then that might be necessary. Now, it's going to vary for everyone. For some people, there could be like a really deep-rooted, really intense thing that you are needing to process, that you're beginning to become ready to process, right? That's why this is being highlighted for you, just because you're at a place where you're ready to start processing it in a new way. For others of you, it might not be such a deeply rooted thing. It might be a more general sort of relationship, or even a reminder, right? Even just a reminder of like, hey, like you might have been avoiding some things lately. I think you're ready to stop avoiding them and process that. It doesn't have to be a huge dramatic process for those of you for whom it doesn't feel that way, but still the message in and of itself resonates. But for a lot of you, there overall, I feel like is a message here of hope, right? That taking a step back and looking at what you've been feeling or looking at what you've been repressing, that is something that you can move through, you're capable of moving through. And these songs by Alter Bridge are here to tell you that I know how it feels. I know that it might feel really hard right now, but I've been through it. I come out the other side. I know what's waiting for you there. It's worth it, and you can do this too, right? And you don't even know what's possible for you. It's interesting. It almost feels like this is like similar. I feel like all these groups are going to be a little similar, but it's a different vibe to group one, but there's some similar messages here. So, maybe you'll find messages in more than one group for you. But all that being said, we do have more to get into in terms of, I'm going to ask for more information from these tarot cards. This deck here is the Inversion Tarot, and we're going to see what else is being highlighted for you here surrounding this experience of loneliness, and maybe even for some of you emotional detachment or avoidance. What else does Spirit or whomever want pile 2 or group 2 to know? Okay, we have the Eight of Cups and the Hanged Man. And we have the Wheel of Fortune. Interesting, because that card, and I feel like I want to switch these. That card, the Wheel of Fortune, came out... Nope, I'm going to switch them back. That was the card that came up in group 1. So yeah, there might be some messages in group 1 for you as well. But let's get 3 more cards as well. So what else here? What else wants to come up? 3 of Wands reversed. Okay. 3 of Wands reversed. 9 of Wands reversed. And the Magician. Okay. So what else do you want group 2 to know about this experience, these emotions, processing them? Strength on the bottom of the deck. I feel like strength, this is a reassurance of your strength, that you are strong enough to face whatever this is. The Hanged Man, 8 of Cups, Wheel of Fortune. So almost, yeah, similar to group 1. There's definitely something here about your emotion or something holding you back from moving forward in your life, moving on with a change, or walking away from something. But the Hanged Man, remember how I said at the beginning, isolation doesn't have to be like a negative thing or a bad thing. And in fact, I think in the song Isolation, yeah, okay. It clicked. So we were talking about loneliness, and we're talking about how sometimes we can avoid admitting when we feel certain things. So like, for example, you might be avoiding admitting that loneliness is even an experience you relate to because you're afraid or ashamed in some way of acknowledging that. Now, I also mentioned that isolation in and of itself is not necessarily always a negative thing. Being alone is not necessarily always a negative thing. You can be alone without being lonely. And there might be a perspective shift that will help you acknowledge and be more accepting of the things that you're feeling, because you might be able to, there might be a perspective shift that you're being asked to have around the concept of loneliness, around isolation, to see it as a bridge, to see it as a state that you can be in that can actually grant you immense insights into yourself, opportunities to connect more deeply with yourself. For those of you who have been distracting yourself from something, whether you have been distracting yourself by actually with other people, going out and being involved with like a bunch of stuff around you in your community, maybe thinking more of other people rather than yourself, never wanting to be alone, or you've been someone who spends a lot of time alone but maybe engages a lot with like social media, taking in ideas constantly, taking in other people's thoughts and emotions constantly, right? That is not being alone, right? That's not being isolated, because you're still engaging with other people's energy. And so there's a perspective shift you're being asked to have around what being isolated, what being alone really means, in that even if you are someone who spends a lot of time alone, you might not actually be spending a lot of time alone, right? Because you're not really spending time with yourself, with what's actually going on inside of you. And as I mentioned, this is highlighting to you that you are ready to start the process, or at least acknowledge that you are even avoiding anything within yourself, and know that isolation for you, not meaning like you're like secluding yourself in a way that's like harmful to you, or like that you have to go off into the not that. It's more like starting to develop a relationship with being alone that doesn't feel like loneliness, thereby letting yourself disconnect from certain things that might have been holding your attention while you were sort of avoiding whatever was going on with you, right? Which, as we mentioned, is fine. It's just time to stop doing that, right? And so you're being asked to see isolation, loneliness, to see being completely and truly alone with yourself for even just a few moments at a time in a different light. Seeing that isolation can bring you basically new perspective, can bring you change, can bring shifts in your life that couldn't happen if you were continually distracting yourself without end, basically. And with the Three of Wands, Nine of Wands reversed, there's not, okay, because they're both wands reversed. And I can see the Three of Wands as almost like looking out into the future, looking out to the horizon, right? And the Nine of Wands, to me, is looking back at the past, often looking back at what hurt you, right? Being at the end of a long journey and being like, youch. And maybe not being able to let go of that right away, right? Which is fine. But I think it's interesting that with these cards both being reversed, you're not being asked to look ahead to the future or look back at the past. It's not so much about turning around and saying, this is what hurt me, what do I do about it? Or saying, let me just leave that behind, I'm just going to look ahead. It's more about like the present, really, just being in the present moment, being with yourself, right? For some of you, you might not even have, and take this as it resonates, you might not even have like some kind of major trauma, or you might have been through something major that you feel like will be difficult to get through, but it might not actually be as much of a process as you think. And, you know, it's going to vary for everyone. It doesn't matter what your process is. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter, you know, like, it's all fine. It's all good. I feel like there's a level of self-acceptance here that you're working on some level. And so accepting your experience, accepting yourself just as you are is very important. You know, don't let anything I say make you feel like you're wrong in some way for being how you are and where you are. But I'm just saying that for some of you, it might not even be something that like takes as long as you think. It might not be even as much of a process as you think. And it might not have to happen in the way that you think it has to happen. For some of you, like sitting and reflecting on and digging into the wound of something that happened in the past that might be causing a feeling of isolation in the present isn't necessary, in that you don't need to like focus on or keep rehashing an old wound. What it is more about is being willing to sit with yourself in the moment and engage with whatever is, again, whatever like energy you've been avoiding, and being present with it without the stories that you might have once told yourself about it. To me, the Magician is a very present, grounded energy. I don't know if that's necessarily how it's interpreted in all tarot, but to me, that's what I am getting right now with the Magician. The Magician has all the tools at his disposal. The Magician is very confident in what he can create. And I feel like that is what disconnecting from it's like not getting caught up in the present, not in the future, not getting caught up in the past, not trying to make plans based on the past or make plans based on a future that may or may not happen in the way that you imagine it, but rather focusing on the tools that you have in the present moment. For some of you, this is even just like, okay, like, how do I sit with myself, right? Like, so how do I sit with myself without engaging with a podcast or a YouTube video, or going out with friends, or having people constantly around me, right? How do I just sit with myself? Like, what tools will help me do that, even if it feels uncomfortable at first, right? Because the whole idea is that you're not doing it because it feels uncomfortable to do that, right? To just be present with yourself. Well, are there tools that people use to feel comfortable being present with yourself? For me, focusing on breathing, right? Maybe listening to a meditation, so if someone else is guiding it, but it's also a meditation that encourages you to sit with yourself and become more present with yourself, right? So that can be like a bridge for you to even just have moments of silence to yourself. It doesn't have to become like a way of life, right? Like, you don't have to go become a monk. You don't have to go out and live in the woods. Even just engaging with it for a few minutes a day, where you're just sitting with yourself, or you're disconnecting and unplugging while maybe you're washing dishes, but you're not listening to anything while you do it, right? Maybe you're going for a walk, but you don't have your headphones on. And just doing that more and more often, especially when you start to feel overwhelmed, right? Or you start to feel like for some of you, like I said, it might not even be about a specific trauma or event or thing that you're avoiding. It could just be like an overall feeling of like, oh, I'm starting to feel uncomfortable, or just like overwhelmed or jittery, or maybe even depressed, and I don't know why. It could just simply be that you are overstimulated, right? Like, you're overwhelmed, you're overstimulated, and it might be uncomfortable to unplug in those moments because your nervous system is like yelling at you like, hey, stop, right? And so like you want to avoid that uncomfortable feeling by numbing it out. But like, if you actually take back your energy for a moment, it'll allow your nervous system to calm down, to recenter back into yourself, and you'll actually feel better. You might not even realize until you experiment with it for a little while that how much better you'll feel through unplugging for a little while, right? It doesn't have to mean that you never listen to a podcast again, but right now that might just be what you need, Like, you might just need to develop that relationship with yourself for a little while to reset your whole system. I feel like your whole system just needs to be reset, needs to be grounded, right? And that is what learning to sit with yourself by yourself without anything or anyone distracting you will do for you. And, it's going to vary for everyone. For some of you, there's some deep rooted stuff you're ready to start working through, and you may work with someone to do that, and there may be some things that come up for you in this process of sitting with yourself that you might do it with someone who can help guide you through that. And for others of you, this is just like a reminder of like, hey, I know in the moment it's uncomfortable, but once you get past that hump of discomfort, when you unplug, when you start to work with just being in your own energy more often, once you get over that, it will release you. It will open you up to more possibilities. It will help you calm yourself down. And the tools that you can use to work with that include like listening to meditations, doing breath work, right? I love yoga, stretching, going out for a walk, right? But doing so where you're unplugged, or you're just like listening to a guided meditation, because that helps you like get into that headspace, but you're not necessarily taking in like someone else's emotions. What it's guiding you to do is sitting with your own self, your own emotional internal experience, right? So all that being said, I am going to get a Hafiz card or two to close out with final advice for you on this process that you're going through of getting to know yourself more deeply, and for those of you sitting with discomfort to varying degrees, right? Whether it's really intense, difficult energy that you've been avoiding for a long time, or it's simply momentary, like, interference in your nervous system that needs to be calmed, overwhelm that you have been avoiding just releasing, right? Overstimulation and all that. So let's see. What advice does Hafiz have for you to deal with it? Well, number 31, retreat. And the bottom of the deck, trust your wisdom. So yeah, for those of you who maybe have been like listening to a lot of podcasts or like other people speak and stuff, this might be a reminder as well to trust your own wisdom. So like, you unplugging will allow you to get in touch with like what's truly yours. Like, I've gone through times when just so many voices talking out, there's like so many things online that are like, oh, like do this now if you want that, you're a loser, and if you want to fix that you got to do this, or like, and even like really like, even like spiritual teachers or people who actually really resonate with me most of the time, it can be too much if I just have been listening to too many things, too many different voices and opinions in my head. Like, I can't make sense of them if I'm that overstimulated and overwhelmed, and I can't actually decide what really resonates and what actually makes sense for me. So like, retreat. Get, maybe even for some of you, literally retreat and like go on a retreat. But for others of you, just like retreat, like create an environment for yourself where you can just get away from all that noise outside of you, so you can listen to the noise inside of you and calm it down, let it go, make inside of you less noisy, and outside of you will feel less noisy too, and vice versa. Let's also read from the booklet. So retreat, we have: alone in the desert, alone in the woods, alone in the hills, so helped me to see more who we are, and to sing so charmingly the heavens sat in my palm. Now is the time to retreat from an argument, from an outdated belief system, from a dying dream, or even from the noise of the world, like I said. Create a safe space for hermitage. I was feeling hermit card energy. I forgot to say it, but I was feeling hermit card energy here. Cease all effort. Back away from whatever holds your power hostage right now and seek a shelter for your growing awareness. Wander, hum, rest, go idle. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you can see more clearly who you really are and what next steps are in alignment with your highest good. Yeah. So yeah, just be alone. And for those of you who also like work and that's been a really big focus for you, if you can, maybe take a vacation day and just completely detach from everything. Like, if that's in the cards for you, do that, But I feel like that neatly wraps up everything that we've been talking about here. So I really hope for you that you take this opportunity to get more connected with yourself, to stop avoiding any discomfort that you're feeling in your emotions in your body, and to allow this to shift you into a more, I feel like for a lot of you, there's a wonderful life on the other side of that. And whether this is a thing that, again, has been like a deep-rooted trauma that you're dealing with, or a deep-rooted emotional wound that you're working through, or this is to do with even just general overwhelm, general overstimulation, general burnout even, there is better on the other side of actually dealing with this, right? There's better for you. There's peace, there's tranquility, there's calmness, there's a completely new perspective, right? So I hope that you can receive that. And I hope this resonated. Please let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things. And if you are interested, we do offer hypnosis and human design along with personal tarot readings on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com, link in the description. Check that out if you want. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye! Hi, Group 3. If you selected this rose quartz, then you're in the right place, and this is your reading, which is going to be about an emotion that is being highlighted for you for some reason or another. It could be something that you're experiencing currently, or something that you're being invited to experience or have a deeper relationship with at this moment. So let's see. Let's get into it. So I actually got 2 cards for you. I got the Fool and the 3 of Pentacles. And then we also have a couple song cards. So I have Rainbow by Kesha and Aqua Regia by Sleep Token. So let me read the lyrics. I'll start with Aqua Regia. So this says, "And I am done dancing to alarm bells. No wonder my ears are still ringing. And I am done fighting off change. No wonder my arms are still swinging." And we have Rainbow by Kesha. "I found a rainbow, rainbow baby. Trust me, I know life is scary, but just put those colors on, girl. Come and play along with me tonight." So, emotion coming through here is definitely like relief. Honestly, relief and hope. Relief and hope. And I do feel like this also has something to do with your self-expression in some way. The fact that we got 2 cards and one of them is the 3 of Pentacles. To me, there's a lot about sharing with others, expressing with others, and with the also playfulness, and sharing that playfulness with others. Yeah, I feel like whatever you're feeling, you are looking to share that with other people in some way, or you're being encouraged to share with other people in some way in terms of maybe for some of you, your personal story. So that came through, especially with Rainbow by Kesha, which is kind of about her personal journey and her encouraging others to embrace their more playful, wondrous side, inner child, right, alongside her, and assuring people that, you know, she has gone through experiences that they might be able to relate to, but that doesn't mean that she is that she's damaged or that she's unable to engage with playfulness, with joy, with colors again, right? Inviting people into her world, inviting people into a new playful perspective, right? And so with the Fool here, I feel like that is what you are stepping into. And I feel like for this group, for most of you, I feel like this is something that you've actually already stepped into. This is an emotion that you're actually already experiencing. Because I do feel like there's an element here of like sharing that with others. So it's something that you've already invited into your life. But it also might be that you're in transition to do that. Like you're in an emotional transition right now in your life that like you're shifting states. We have a before and an after here, basically. A before and an after, I feel like. And with Sleep Token's Aqua Regia, I feel is Aqua Regia is something about like, I don't know, a chemical that dissolves gold. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know where I'm going with that. But the lyrics here, "And I am done dancing to alarm bells. No wonder my ears are still ringing. And I am done fighting off change. No wonder my arms are still swinging." It's like you might have gone from a place of resistance to what was in your life, resistance to change, even if you were in a situation that was really hurting you, that was really difficult. You've gone from that to a state of surrender, and that's that's left the door open for this optimistic, playful, fun-loving attitude that I feel like you have put a lot of work into creating for yourself. And I do feel like for most of you, this is something that you've already created. It might be in process for others of you, though. It might be something that you are actively working on, but you would probably know, right? Like, I feel like this is something that you are doing yourself, that's being acknowledged here. Although, if it resonates for you that you feel like you're still kind of stuck in that past energy of resistance to some kind of change, this is an encouragement and a message about what is available to you should you choose to work through it. But I feel like for most of you, that's already the process that you've engaged with, are engaging with, whatever it is. You've really surrendered to a new energy here. And so you're already in that phase. So I actually am gonna start getting your tarot cards from this inversion tarot deck. 9 of Cups as well. So Satisfaction on the bottom. I feel like that's relevant because I feel like you've been cultivating your personal happiness. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like you've cultivated a playful energy where you engage with life and with yourself in a playful, constructive way. And you've maybe been alone in that for a while. And this is talking about how you can, or it's time to bring that playful energy to others, to share that playful energy with others in some way through, like what Kesha did with her music, like, right? She created the song Rainbow to share her journey and experience with others who might be able to benefit from it and relate to it. And I feel like that is what you are moving towards in some way. Let's get more information on what... Yeah, okay. We need to put a piece of paper over the star card here because that's just where we're at in terms of censorship with YouTube. It's fine. I don't mind. So let's see. Star card. First of all, yeah, hope, optimism, belief, faith. Yeah. What else? What else have we got? 2 of Cups reversed. Okay. And one more. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune has come out in all 3 groups. In all 3 groups. So there might be messages in every group here for most of you. If you just want to listen to the whole reading. It's interesting because it's kind of different energies, and yet at the same time, I could see how they can all be relevant to one another. It's one of those readings. Wheel of Fortune, and in fact, I think in the last group, in group 2, it came out in the exact same position. For group 1, it was actually the emotion card. Fool in reverse. Interesting, we had the Fool up here, and then we have the Fool in reverse down here. And 2 more cards. Yeah, we have... Are these upright or reversed? Show me. Reversed. Interesting. Okay. So we've got 3 major arcana reversed over on this side. Okay. Knight of Cups reversed on the bottom of the deck. Okay. So I feel like for you guys, you have really mastered, cultivated, and been enjoying your own sense of playfulness, maybe even childlikeness, like reconnecting with your sense of curiosity and wonder, joy and playfulness. You have really mastered that in terms of being with your own self and being able to feel good within your own self, to be with yourself, right? To enjoy life by yourself. There is a part of you, there's like the emotional experience that you're either being prepared for, I just heard, or preparing for consciously, or certain emotions are coming up that are asking you for this right now, is to learn how to share that with other people, to learn how to maintain that self with others in any kind of environment, in any kind of way. So like, for example, sharing your joy and work with other people through sharing like art or something, right? Being able to maintain your sense of playfulness while also sharing your work. So you know how some people, like, you know, they have a passion, they have something that they really enjoy, but then they start, like getting paid for it. They start making that into their job, and then they lose their passion for it because sharing with other people, a bunch of insecurities rise up, and maybe even some like pushback or feedback that they aren't ready to cope with, or certain things, maybe they get a little burned out, right? And they lose their passion, right? So you might have had that experience in the past in some areas. And so you might have retreated back to yourself to just do things for yourself and recultivate that connection with yourself. And now you're wondering, okay, can I get back out there and maintain that connection with self while I also share with others, right? And so this is saying, that you're ready to start working on that. It's like you've been building your own self up. You are ready. Maybe you've even already started getting back out there, sharing with others again, trusting that you will be able to hold the line, to hold your connection with yourself this time around. You know now how that works, and you're ready to shift out of this, like, I feel like, because also the star can be very Aquarius, it can be a little bit isolationist. Group 2 again might resonate for some people. You're good enough on your own. With the 2 of Cups here in reverse, I feel like that's a resistance to relationships, and it could be just in general. It could be work relationships, it could be romantic relationships, it could be even just friendships in general, family, whatever it is. A resistance to engaging with others on like a mutual level, right? Really being focused, like the star card she's facing that way, focused on your own thing, focused on your own whatever. And there's like an opportunity here to shift that. Okay, you spent your time focused on yourself for a while. You processed what you needed to process. You created a really beautiful connection with yourself. And things are shifting so that now it's time to create that with others, or even one other. I do feel like this is actually impacting multiple areas of your life, including perhaps craftsmanship, work, family connections. I feel like it is a sharing in general, but with the 2 of Cups in reverse here, it could be specifically also romantically and in friendships. But regardless, we also have these 3 major arcana in reverse over here: the Fool, Temperance, and the High Priestess. And this is so interesting to me. And I feel like the fact that they're in reverse here is further speaking to what I just said about having cultivated this within yourself. Because to me, okay, the Fool is the playfulness, right? But we've also got Temperance, which is balance, which can mean like how you relate to your own emotions. Like you've actually been working on balancing your own emotions, right? Within yourself, how you experience yourself, how you react to yourself, how you deal with your emotions. And the High Priestess, intuition, your own knowing, your own sense of what's right and what's wrong. These all together in reverse, that's you focused, right? You have built that foundation. It's almost like these being major arcana here are so strong. It's a reassurance that you are ready to emotionally handle now, re-emerging into the world, engaging further with the world, engaging further with other people in some way that you haven't in a long time, or maybe ever, from a new space, from a space where you feel much more solid and confident in your ability to maintain these energies within yourself and not let other people's energies interfere or get too caught up in other people's energies, right? And now that doesn't mean that process won't have some ups and downs. That doesn't mean that you won't have any moments where you are questioning yourself, or where you're getting maybe caught up in someone else's energy, or you might feel hurt by someone's comment or something like that. It doesn't mean that you'll never feel that experience, have that experience again, but because you've cultivated this relationship with yourself, because you've worked this muscle so much with just your own sense of creativity and play without sharing with anyone, and your own relationship with your emotions and your intuition without getting caught up in anyone else's perspective or anyone else's emotions, you've created enough neural pathways, you've created enough momentum behind your connection with self that you're not going to get lost in the same way that you might have once, or in the way that you might have once feared that you would. And you're ready to put yourself out there. You're ready to walk off that cliff, so to speak, as that Fool. Bring that Fool energy, bring that playful energy out, and trust that for some of you, right, you might have like held your playful, childish even energy close to your chest, because even just excitement, right, like getting really excited about like a new idea or a journey or whatever, like you might have held that really close to your chest, like kept your hope and your belief and your faith really close to your chest and not shared with anyone, been really protective of it, because you might have experienced in the past, like, you know, even just as a very small child, like other people raining on your parade, or just not seeing things the way that you did, and maybe taking on their beliefs and their perspectives when they just weren't for you, right? And so having your excitement and your childlike energy tamped down, right? And so in being protective of yourself and in wanting to reconnect with yourself, you started that process of reconnecting with that energy within yourself at some point, and did that in secret or just in private or just mostly focused on yourself and maybe even didn't engage that much with people for a while, right? And that was a process that you needed to go through, right? And so now it's recognizing that you can come back out into the world feeling like you are the one who's bringing the playful energy. You're bringing the energy. Other people, it's like you might have felt impacted by other people's energy and emotions. You might have felt like that brought you down. You might have felt like that stamped you down, right? Like your energy couldn't hold up to other people's energy. Now it's reversed, right? You have the faith in yourself. You're bringing the energy. You're setting the tone, right? It's not like a power struggle thing. It's not like you trying to force, like, oh no, like I'm, instead of like me coming down to your level, you're coming up to mine. I'm going to make you. It's more like you're just so connected with yourself. You're so solid in your energy. You're so good at like maintaining and cultivating that energy that no one can get you down the way that they used to. No one can get you down for long. And you might naturally find that your energy is strong enough to bring people up with you. But even if it doesn't, you're not as bothered. You're not as brought down as you once would have been. You're so much stronger in yourself. It doesn't bother you if someone else is having a bad day, right? Not as much, you know, and you might even feel more compassion for those who might need a little bit of a mood boost because you are so able to stay in your mood that you can more readily be there for someone else, or you can even bring someone else up without even trying, right? But it's not even about that. It's just about you having such a strong energy now. You really, like, I don't know, this High Priestess, Temperance, and Fool has really been, you've really strengthened your connection to yourself, your intuition, your emotions, your sense of play, your inner child. And it's like fantastic. I feel like this is an energy that's been coming through in a lot of readings recently. And there is one commenter in specific who I'd be surprised if you weren't drawn to this group. So because I feel like you're coming through. As someone who's commented consistently on other videos, I do feel that I'm connecting with that energy right now, right? And it's really powerful, really strong, and this is reassurance that it will hold up in the long run to other people's energy. It will hold up in spite of, even in the midst of chaos, in the midst of confusion, in the midst of just other human beings who are just having their own experience, right? Living their own lives. You can feel sovereign in your experience without worrying about getting shut down again, right? Because you're not going to let yourself get shut down. You're not going to shut yourself down anymore, right? Other people could try, and that's fine, but you're not going to be as impacted by it. And the more that you put yourself out there, the more that you practice, the more that you trust in what you've already built for yourself and keep coming back stronger, the more faith you'll have in that, right? This is just the next step of that journey that you've already been on. So, and then with the Wheel of Fortune, I do feel like you're naturally moving in this direction. This is where the change is bringing you. So it's not something that you have to force yourself to do. It's something that you want to do. We'll put that back in. I'm going to get a Hotkeys card for any further advice. Number 20 with Have Patience. And for some reason, I feel like I want to shuffle up one more time. Is there anything else? Unleash Your Passion. Okay. Yeah, that came out in group 1 as well. Like I said, all the groups might have something for you. I feel like all the groups might have something for everyone, really. But I think the primary one here is number 20, Have Patience. But I will read for both. So, have patience. Where are you, number 20? Obviously having patience with yourself on this journey, right? If you're stepping out of your comfort zone, even though you've built up what, reserves that you have, there might still be some turbulence. You got to have patience with yourself and with the situation, right? And allow yourself time to build that muscle even stronger, right? Like when you're working out, maybe some of you are an athlete or work out a lot or whatever, when you're working out, right, you build that muscle. And then once you build the muscle to an extent that like certain weights, like if you're like lifting weights, like certain weights are no longer as heavy for you, like you can lift them much more easily, then you add more weight, right? And you keep going. You build that muscle even more, right? That's kind of what's happening here is like, okay, you've built the muscle to a certain extent. Now in order to keep building it, you take it to the next step. And that next step is testing it against other people. Not necessarily in a way that's going to be difficult or even stressful, but there might be moments, you know? And it's allowing those moments and allowing yourself to flow with that process and recognize it's helping you become stronger, even when you face some potential resistance, which may or may not even be a big part of your journey, right? But it's not something that you need to be afraid of. Have patience. And for those of you for whom it helps to have the perspective of like, this is making me stronger, any resistance that you do meet, like it's just like another bicep curl, right? Like another opportunity to like grow that muscle. So have patience. The moon asked about her luminosity, said, I am a master of patience. It will happen. Perhaps not exactly as you imagined it, perhaps far better, but it will happen. Have patience during the in-between when you can't see the results of your hard work and diligent investments. There are forces moving on your behalf far beyond the realms of sight. Trust them. They are bringing you precisely, with divine timing, what you need to bring your soul to its fullest expression of itself. Period. Makes total sense for what we got here. And then for unleash your passions, yeah, for a lot of you, I feel like it's like creative passions or something, like passion projects, things that you're sharing with other people now. Just keep unleashing it. Keep putting it out there. Maybe for some of you, you've already begun this process and you're working on continuing that process. Have patience. Keep the faith. Keep putting it out there. Keep exploring with yourself. Because like, I feel like for some of you, the other people will come, but you are still exploring your own personal relationship with yourself, and that's still the primary focus. So keep focusing on that and doing that, but also allow other people in, allow other people to see you, allow other people to see yourself, right? And work that into your process of how you relate to yourself, right? So the wolf's beautiful howl so unleashed my passions, my lover smiled for days. Nice. Okay. Seek your muse. Court her. When she visits, create with wild abandon. Let nothing hold back your whimsy, your folly, your bliss. Folly with the Fool card. Yeah. That a group one. Yeah. All the groups here, I feel like today. It's like one big group. But like, yeah, your folly, the Fool card, like, you're not afraid of being that quote unquote fool, right? You're not afraid of someone thinking that you look foolish. Or even if you are, you're not willing to let that stop you from putting yourself out there, right? Like that might have been something that you've been working through, is feeling really comfortable with yourself, but feeling foolish around other people. Well, that's your next step, right? Is working on feeling confident in yourself around others and not getting in your head or even assuming that you might assume that other people will find you foolish or will find what you love foolish, without even knowing if that's actually true or without even getting any feedback, right? So you remember that that's just you, right? Even if someone does come at you with something, how you feel about it is still just you. And you developing your relationship with yourself and you having put the time in to do that, you have what it takes to recover from that, right? To move yourself through that, to help yourself through that, and to know that it's okay. And you might be surprised with how many wonderful interactions and reactions that you actually have from people, right? And you can accept those as true. Allowing your passion to grow, be nurtured, and expressed is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself and the world. Don't let modesty or fear repress your inspiration. You have galaxies inside of you. Express them. You truly do. And yeah, and your relationship with yourself that you've been building with yourself, with your emotions. I know this is a relationship. This is reading about emotion and an emotion that was coming up for you. But I feel like it's really about how you relate to your emotions in the process or through the process of sharing yourself, of being seen, of taking the relationship you've already built with yourself and your emotions and your inner child and your playfulness and bringing that into a more public forum, right? It's like trusting that what worked with you on your own as you were honing your relationship with yourself will continue to work as you become more and more public with yourself and expressing yourself in some way. Again, whether it's like through work, creativity, friendships, love, romantic love, whatever. So have faith. You got this. And yeah, you've done a lot of really good work on yourself. So keep going, and I think that's it. So I hope this resonated for you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how it resonated. And if you are interested in personal readings, we do offer those on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com, along with hypnosis and human design offerings. So check that out in the description or pinned comment. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye.